Hi folks. I know a lot of people have been having trouble with the extended attack firefighting mission with the CL-415 Super Scooper in Microsoft Flight Sim 2024. So I wanted to see if I could help clarify some things. It's a great aircraft, it's a fun mission, and the extended attack missions afterwards, while there are some issues with them, I thoroughly enjoy them. I think you will too. First things first, we're going to start looking at some decisions that we have to make, like the direction that we want to scoop. The Castaic Reservoir near Van Nuys has two possible scooping directions. Taking a look at this first one, if we scoop in this direction, we're going to be taking a fully loaded aircraft into a tight canyon with high walls. So if we can avoid that, we will. Looking back on our left side, we've got another possible scooping run, fairly straight, no major islands in the way. There's that berm at the end. That's not ideal, but I think we can work around that. So I know which area I'm going to scoop in. Time to start setting up the aircraft and planning my running. Got lots of altitude. This aircraft is empty. It's going to climb if I want it to. I'm going to start a bit of a descent here. Bring the throttles back about halfway. Our prop levers are forward. They've been that way since we started the engines or took off, and they're going to remain that way for the duration of the flight. So I'm not dropping a whole lot of altitude yet. I'm just kind of holding my altitude and letting my airspeed decay. Safe airspeed for the first 2 notches of flaps is 138 knots. If you're over 138, you'll get the flap overspeed failure. As a tip, if you're having a hard time seeing the airspeed indicator, when the needle is vertical downwards, you're 130 knots, so you're safe for the first 2 notches of flaps. Full flaps and landing gear, safe airspeed is 117 knots. So we want to make sure that we use as much of the lake as possible. We don't want to leave a whole lot of water behind us because that doesn't do us any good. We're going to plan to circle around, work our way down the hill, drop in just behind the dam, and start scooping as soon as we can. All of that begins with good preparation, making sure that you're on your speeds. This aircraft is very simple to work through the descent. If you reduce flaps and add power, it will want to climb. And if you add flaps and reduce power, there's a ton of drag available to you. Starting to circle around. We're not doing anything crazy with our power. We've got a good airspeed. Controlling it with the pitch. It's nice and stable. Looking around and monitoring our descent, making sure that our descent profile and path is looking good to us, and adjusting that with power. As we're monitoring that descent profile, we can add our second notch of flaps. And flaps can help you through the turn as well. And then we're just watching for when we're going to add our full flaps. We've got a safe airspeed already. Again, we're below 117 knots for full flaps. And then with full flaps in, you'll see the airspeed starts to decay rapidly. You can really point the nose down. And you work your way in without gaining too much speed. Our airspeed's good. We're going to drop in nice and close to the dam. Give ourselves as much of the lake possible. Here we're going to start to roll out to about nose level, just above the water. We're going to keep the power on. Don't try and force it onto the water. Just let it settle. you're not settling, you might need to pull a little bit of power and then feel it out. Once you're on the water, you'll need 60 knots for the probes to go down and start scooping. And then you want to bring some power back in. Use back pressure as the aircraft loads up. Once you get used to it, you can start to use trim. It'll take a buttload of trim. Just keeping it nice and steady. Once we've got full tanks, we're going to bring the power up to the top of the green. We're going to let the airspeed increase. We're going to increase the flaps to flaps 2. Once we get about 80 to 85 knots, we're going to go full throttle, balls to the wall. Airspeed's going to increase. You're going to see the angle of attack indicator come up into the green. That's the colored dial center of the dash on the top. And then if you just hold it, just let the aircraft do its thing. We're not moving the yoke around. It'll come unstuck from the water. Point the nose down, use the ground effect. Bring the power back into the green so that you can reduce the turbine temperature. Bring your flaps up, watch out for the sink. And then you can use a safe airspeed, start to climb. Between about 110 and 120 knots with a full load, you'll find about 500 to 700 feet per minute climb. And you can work your way up and out of the canyon. And that's it. You've got about 20 seconds with full throttle before the engine temperatures will cook. This can sometimes be different in colder or warmer weather. So watch your ITT, but don't be afraid of power.